Well, welcome to Eden Valley versus Kirkhoven Murdoch Sunberg girls basketball. It's a wonderful afternoon for girls basketball. We're just getting ready here to do the national anthem. So if you want to join with us, we'll get the volume hopefully over the cameras here and you can support our country. All right, get ready for our KMS starting lineups here. We'll let the announcer take the way here. Apparently, they're actually announcing something with the younger squad girls here. I apologize. I did not catch what they were saying as to why they're announcing those young girls, but. All right, for KMS. There's a little confusion there for the team. We've got number 2, Leah Wagner, who's a junior guard. We've got number 3, Aislinn Hacker, who's a senior guard. We got number 4, Avia Finstrom, who's a 6'1" forward and is a freshman. And then we have number 5, Mara Otto, who's a 5'9" forward, senior. Joined lastly by number 11, Madison Silas, who's a 5'9" sophomore. Now for your Eagles starting lineup. 5'9", 5'5" senior guard, Addie Stummis. 5'10" freshman guard, Miley Keekley. 5'5" senior forward, Emily Kramer. A 5'4" senior forward, Laura Herring. And lastly, 5'9" senior forward, Lillian Schultz. The coach of KMS is KMS Fighting Saints is Justin Johnson, assisted by Samantha Gertie and Cassandra Thorson. And for your Eden Valley Walk-ins, head coach is Tom Jansen, assisted by Becky Keekley and Steph Borscheid. All right, we're getting ready now to have the tip-off here for the Eagles versus the Saints. And we're here. We called the game on Thursday when the Eagles played, and they won that game. We got Keekley as a guard doing the jump ball, and that is won by Eden Valley. We have Stummis bring the ball up across into Kramer. Kramer looks to drive down the lane, kicks it out to Keekley down to the corner for a three-point attempt by Hearing. That's rebounded by KMS and up the floor quickly for a layup for Hacker. Keekley looking to bring the ball up the floor, but she picked up her dribble. Now is trying to find somebody, and that ball is turned over. It was tried to be passed down to the lane for the KMS, and they weren't able to do that. Eagles get the ball back on a fast break and ends up in the hands of Kramer, who lays it in. 2-2 game. Just a minute gone in the first half. We had a cross-court pass for Hacker, who was then fouled by number 3, Addie Stummis. That'll be her first and team's first. Two shot attempts here for Hacker. She makes the first. Gets set for the second. And that one rolls around before falling in. KMS looking to press early here. And the girls look to get the ball up the floor. You got Keekley, Hearing, and Stummis that are moving the ball around. Ends up down in the lane here, where Kramer passes it out in the corner. Keekley looks to drive baseline. Is met. Oh, ends up in the hands of Hearing, who tries to pass it to Stummis, but sails it over her head out of bounds. Ball is tipped by Schultz on the driving attempt and ends up out of bounds. KMS ball on the side. KMS looks to set up their offense. On the wing to the point. Drives down the lane. Kicks it out. She drives into the paint, or she also kicks it out. Oh, looked like a travel to me. But number 2, Leah Wagner is able to get that ball off of the pass and lay it in. Keekley is trying to bring the ball up, but she is looking to be trapped there. And on the trap, we have a foul. Looks like an offensive foul by the... No, I think she stepped out of bounds is all it was. Looked like the ref called a foul, but it was just an out of bounds. Ends up in the hands of Hacker, who's able to put it up for a three-pointer. Brings the score up to 9-2 now, as the Eagles look to break the press. We have a driving attempt down the lane by Lillian Schultz, who is then fouled by Avia Finstrom. Be 2 shot attempts here for Schultz. First team foul for KMS. First one rims in and out. Second attempt here for Schultz. And that one bounces around a little bit before falling off to the left side. Rebounded by KMS and brought up the floor. KMS drives it down the lane, kicks it out. Now back out on the wing, where Hacker takes a long three-point attempt that bounces real far out and is rebounded by one of the guards for KMS. Another long three-point attempt. And I believe that KMS guard, Aston Hacker, has hit 2,000 career points. She is a 5'6" senior guard, number 3, Aston Hacker, and she has just scored her 2,000th career point. They called a timeout on the floor to allow her to get into the stands to celebrate with her family, which is good to see. Good to see anybody have some success that way. So most of the fans here for KMS had a pink flyer with the number 2,000 on it. So as she was able to score, they were able to celebrate her. I believe I got a correction, it was Aislinn. All right, Eden Valley has the ball. Score right now is 12-2. It's passing to Kramer into the post, who makes a drop step and then kicks it out to Keekley, who drains a 3. Brings that score to 12-5. Keekley has looked good from that three-point range this year. Ball is turned over by KMS and brought up the floor to Keekley, who's able to lay it in left-handed. It's 2 in a row for Keekley there. It's a 5'10" freshman. Hacker drives through the middle of the paint and kicks it out to the right for a short 2-pointer. Jump shot by KMS that's a little long and bounces out. Eden Valley ball the other way. Stummis takes a 3-point shot that goes a little bit wild and ends up missing the rim but hitting the backboard. Ends up out of bounds and is now KMS ball. I believe they called jump ball and that they were unsure of who it exactly went off, so they called jump ball on it, which ended up being KMS, being as Eden Valley won the original jump. Fast break attempt down the floor, and it's tipped out of Hearing's hand and out of bounds by KMS, so now it'll be Eden Valley's ball underneath the basket. Pass into Kramer, who looked like she actually had a shot at that layup and didn't take it. Hacker, who drives and is able to get another layup there. Press still being put on by KMS, who moves that ball up the floor quickly and ends up in Kramer's hands, and this time she's sure and takes that layup for 2. Score is now 14-9 for the Saints. Eden Valley's been able to put a little bit better pressure on. drive into the lane for Wagner, who sidesteps Hearing and is able to lay it in over the front of the rim. Stummis bring the ball up the floor where she's met by KMS player and ends up turning that ball over. That's the thing with the press. When the press is working well, it is awfully... Well, I tell you what, Finstrom and Wagner and Hacker are playing off of each other really well. That was a Wagner drive across the top who kicked it over to Hacker, who was able to lay it in again. Back the other way for Kramer, who takes a nice little two-point jump shot. And in the hands of Hacker, who's able to drive the lane and lay it in around Stummis. Presses on again, where Hearing almost loses the ball, but comes across with it. Kramer has the ball down low. Passes it off to Schultz, who's fouled on the layup attempt. Hacker's not afraid to take those shots, and she seems to have real great control and real good skill set for KMS. One free throw made there by Schultz. Hacker drives the ball down the floor into the lane, where she kicks it out to Wagner. Wagner tries to lay it up and misses, rebounded by Eden Valley, where Schultz goes on the fast break, tries to lay it up left-handed, comes just a little bit off. Ball is passed ahead by Wagner to Hacker, and Hacker attempts to move around Kramer, but comes up a little short on that layup. Good defense by Kramer. Not giving her an easy layup attempt. Three-point attempt by Stummis, who is pretty long and bounces it off the far side of the rim, where it bounces long and out of bounds. The KMS ball from the corner. Passed into the junior guard Wagner. KMS moving that ball around. The attempt was to pass it into Finstrom and knocked away by Hearing. Hearing passes it down with Stummis in the corner, who tries to kick it across to Ballard. And a little bit wide on that. Ballard, by the way, is in the game now for Schultz. Well, Silas had her pocket picked by Stummis, who drives hard the other way and goes to lay it up, but hits the side of the backboard. Stummis had missed that one, and it ended up in the KMS hand, but she looked a little bit upset and might have gotten a little aggressive in trying to get that rebound, and she ends up fouling the other team player, and that would be her second foul. Eden Valley is able to get the ball on a turnover and drive the ball up the other way. Stummis coming on the offensive court, on the front court here to pass the ball in. And that pass was intended for Zoe Groth, but it's picked off by Wagner and driven the length of the floor by Wagner for a layup. Score is now 22-12 for the Saints. Eden Valley looking to set up in their offense. Passes it down to Groth, who is blocked by KMS, into Hacker's hands, who drives the lane and tries to lay it in, but is a little strong on that. Back the other way by Keekley. Now Stummis looking to set up on the offense. Stummis was looking to pass the ball, and it was gone out of control and ends up out of bounds. Now KMS ball. we're going to have a timeout called by KMS, 30-second timeout. They subbed Stummis out. So she was getting a little frustrated. She's been challenged pretty aggressively, and they're not calling it, so it's tough to play in those situations when you always have somebody on you so hard. So now in the game for your Eagles, you've got Ballard, Keekly, Schultz, Hearing, and Groth. KMS brings the ball up the floor. Wagner drives into the center of the key, kicks it out. Tipped away by an Eden Valley player, but recontrolled by KMS. Hacker drives down the lane, and she's done a lot today and is able to lay it in. It's been kind of the way that KMS has been playing a lot of these. Push the ball, drive down the lane, make something happen that way. Pass was attempted for Growth there, and she loses control into the hands of Hacker, who has a breakaway layup. And now they're going to call a timeout for the Eagles this time. 30-second timeout for the Eagles. I think Tom Jansen just wants to get the girls settled down a little bit, get their plays going, find a way to transition on defense so that those drives aren't able to be made quite so quickly. Timeout over. We have the same starting five on the court for the Eagles. Schultz, Ballard, Hearing, Keekly, and Growth. Ballard up the floor to the corner to Keekly, who passes it into Hearing, who goes to lay it in, and she is fouled immediately. Hearing is a 5'4" forward, where she was challenged there by Avia Finstrom, who's a 6'1" forward, and even with the height difference, Hearing is able to draw a foul. Scores on the first of her 2 free throw attempts. Here's a second. That one splashes as well. Scores 26-14 as the girls cut that lead down to 12. Silas drives the ball around. The attempt is made to put into the hands of Hacker, and she's unable to get her hand on it as Eden Valley turned that ball over, drives the floor up the other way, and knocked out of bounds by the Saints. The Eden Valley ball. Hearing looking to pass it in where she does to Schultz. Was met immediately by Wagner. And then Schultz, who had some hands swatting at the ball, ends up traveling with the ball. So turnover. KMS brings the ball up the floor. Ballard was challenging Wagner on that entire drive. And on the attempt to pass it into the post, the ball is put out of bounds. Eden Valley ball. Ballard will pass it in. Schultz looks to take it up the floor, passes it across to Ballard, who brings it up across the half, where she picked up her dribble and then dribbled again, getting a double dribble. A little bit of a mental error there, but she'll remember the next time. Silas takes a three-point attempt and hits that. Ball is brought up the floor to Schultz. And then brought into the post to Kuechly, who's fouled on the layup attempt. Again by Finstrom with the foul. I believe that's her second. It's the team fourth. Kuechly will get to shoot 2 here. Kuechly makes the first of 2. KMS will sub a couple players. Kuechly sets up for the second. That one's a little bit strong. Hits the back of the rim and out. This time it's Silas driving the lane and is able to lay the ball in. Turned over by Hearing to KMS. Silas drives again. Tries to go over the front of the rim, but she's a little bit out of control. But rebounds it, gets it back as KMS sets up. Another driving attempt down the lane, this time by Wagner. Kuechly brings the ball up the floor to Schultz. Schultz steps around Finstrom and is able to lay it in. A nice move by Schultz. She's also fouled on that one. Now Stummis and Kramer come back into the game as Ballard and Groth come out. Schultz makes her free throw, turning that into a 3-point play. Wagner brings the ball up the floor where she's met by Stummis. KMS bobbles the ball a little bit, but Silas is able to drive through the center of the lane and lay it in. Score is now 33-18 for the Saints. Kuechly got the ball right in the center and went to make a move. It looked like she traveled, but the refs didn't call it, so passes it off where it's a missed shot attempt by the Eagles. KMS looking to set up their plays here. Into the hands of Hacker, who drives down the lane and attempts the left-handed layup and is fouled there by Emily Kramer. It's her first, the team's third foul. Looks like Jansen is going to put in Huschel for Hearing. So freshman 6-foot forward, Zoe Huschel is in. As Hacker makes both free throws. Scores now 35-18. Schultz bring the ball up the floor, passes it to Kuechly, and down into the fresh in the game Huschel, who has the ball knocked out of her hands, where it's out of bounds by KMS. It is now Eagles ball on their own front court. Stummis looking to pass the ball in, trying to find somebody open. She does her best to pass it across to Schultz, where it's knocked away by Hacker. Knocked out of bounds by Hacker, so it's now going to be Eagles ball from the left side of the basket. Stummis looking to set up, passes it into Kuechly to Stummis, who takes a corner three that's a little bit long. Rebounded by KMS and driven up the floor quickly by them, where they have a missed free throw attempt, or a layup attempt. Hacker steals the ball, takes a 3-point attempt that's missed, rebounded by Wagner, who then lays it in. And she's fouled on that. So now she'll get a chance at one free throw after that. Wagner makes a free throw. It's now a 20-point lead by the Saints. Stummis brings the ball up the floor, passes it across to Schultz. Into Huschel, who does a layup attempt. It comes up a little bit short. Quickly the other way by the Saints. Wagner loses the handle on it, and it's recovered by Schultz, who was then immediately fouled quite hard by Hacker. Looked a little bit more like a hockey body check than it did an attempt at the ball. They're going to call that a flagrant by her. She didn't look like she was trying to reach in at all. Just took a bit of a body check on her. So Schultz will get to shoot here on the flagrant, which means that nobody else is there surrounding her. They will get 2 shots and the ball. She makes the first, and then makes the second. Cuts the lead down to 18. Now it'll be Eagles ball on the far sideline. Stummis to pass the ball in. Sitting right at the half. Stummis passes it into Schultz. Schultz has the ball knocked away by Wagner, where it ends up in the hands of Wagner, and in the recovery it looks like Schultz's call for the foul. This is now KMS ball. Wagner brings the ball up the floor. Drives to the lane, comes up a little bit off on the layup attempt. Trying to get around Huschley. And Stummis passed the ball up the floor quickly to Schultz, where it's knocked out of bounds by Hacker, so Stummis will pass it in. Down to Schultz in the corner, who tries to pass it to Stummis in the post, and her pocket is picked there by KMS. KMS looking to set up their offense. Ball is passed down to Wagner, who steps easily into the key for a pretty easy layup attempt. Wagner's challenging Keekly now on the ball up the floor. Into Kramer, who takes a 3-point attempt. That comes up quite short and is rebounded by KMS. And KMS is able to get a fast break and lay it in. This is looks like the Eden Valley girls are getting a little bit frustrated here with everything going on, and they need to get some momentum going in their favor, as KMS is being able to get a lot of what they want going here. But you can see KMS plays a physical game. They constantly drive the ball down to the floor, whether they make it every time or not. They keep driving, and it's hard to keep playing that kind of defense if you're not used to that hard drive to the basket. You got to step into those running lanes and do what you can to impede that progress into the offensive zone like that. And as I'm sure Tom Jensen is walking his players through, finding a way to slow that drive down, it's led to a lot of collapsing on the girls and then kickouts for open threes. But regardless, they're also able to get quite a few layup attempts. So now, right now the score is sitting at 42-20 for the Saints. Ballard is in the game now. And so now you have Ballard, Stummis, Schultz, Keekly, and Kramer in. Ballard passes it in. Down to Schultz in the corner to Keekly. Oh, has a nice layup attempt. He's able to rebound that layup attempt that missed. Baseline by Schultz, who ends up stepping out of bounds. KMS ball. Take it from their own backcourt. Wagner brings the ball up across half. As they passing the ball around, Hacker ends up taking a 3-point attempt. That's too strong. Ends up rebounded by Stummis and then knocked away by Wagner. Wagner looks to drive the ball and is able to get over top of Kramer and get a layup. Pressing in the backcourt again from Wagner to Stummis, but ends up in Kramer's hands, and where she passes it quickly to Keekly, driving Keekly, who goes to lay it in. And comes up a little bit short. It was grabbed by two players. Jump ball is KMS's ball. KMS moves the ball around, looking to get something going here on offense. Ball is picked off by Keeklu, who tries to hit Stummis on the fast break, and that ball is turned over. Hacker has a baseline and lays it in over top of an Eden Valley player. Schultz is bringing the ball up the floor. Ball is attempted to be passed for Stummis, picked off by Hacker, who assists on Wagner's layup. Score is now 48-20. And Keekly loses the handle on the ball. Turned over to KMS. We got 3 minutes left to go in the half. As Wagner drives the ball in, where she's defended by Kramer and comes up a little short on that layup attempt. Stummis brings the ball, kicks it to the wing to Schultz, down to the post to Keekly. Back out to Schultz, into the corner to Keekly. Keekly takes a long two-pointer that she makes off a real nice shot attempt there for Keekly. KMS moving that ball around. Wagner takes a long three that rims in and out. Knocked out of bounds on the rebound attempt by Finstrom of the Saints. Eagles ball in their own backcourt. Stummis passes it into Ballard. Back to Stummis. Stummis is met again by Wagner. And now Ballard has the ball, looking to move it up. We had a substitution in of Hearing, Ballard, and Groth. Wagner is able to lay the ball in and get another 2 points. Stummis takes a quick 2-point jump shot from just inside the 3-point line, comes up a little bit short. Ball is passed out quickly to Silas in the post, where she is defended well by Groth. So on the floor right now for your Eagles, you've got Hearing, Groth, Stummis, Schultz, and Ballard. That missed shot attempt by Schultz was rebounded by Hearing, who then also missed a layup attempt. Ball's in the hands of Hacker. She looks to get set up. She loses control of that ball, and it ends up in the hands of Ballard. Ballard has her pocket picked by Wagner, who drives the ball in for a quick left-handed layup. Now a 30-point lead for the Saints. Got a little under a minute left to go in the game. Groth drop steps, passes it out to Hearing, who passes it eventually back down to Groth, who goes to take a layup attempt, misses. It's rebounded by KMS, and then Groth fouls that KMS player. KMS player was forward Mara Otto, senior. We have another timeout being called by KMS. Full timeout. It's been a rough half here for their Eden Valley girls, as KMS has been able to be physical and drive that ball into the post and wherever they needed to go. Be interesting to see here what Coach Jansen can do to get his girls back into the game a little bit. He's going to stay with the same lineup. So you got Ballard, Hearing, Stummis, Schultz, and Groth. KMS ball on the baseline. Their own backcourt to pass in. 44 seconds left in the half. KMS has the ball up in the point. Passing it around. It's knocked away by Hearing and then fought over between Hearing and Silas, and Hearing ends up accidentally pushing Silas out of bounds, which is going to move that into 7 fouls for the Eagles, and is now bonus for the Eagles, or for the Saints rather. First free throw of that bonus is missed by Silas, which therefore ends up being no more shot attempts. Couple layup attempts between Schultz and Grote on the Eagles, and then knocked out of bounds on the rebound attempt by KMS. So it'll be Eagles ball in their own front court. Still must have passed the ball in. She passes it up high, intended for Hearing, but it's picked off by Wagner, who drives down the lane and lays it in. 8 seconds left to go in the half. Into Groth, who goes to lay it up and comes up with 1.1 seconds left on the clock, is fouled on the missed layup attempt. So now Groth will get a chance to cut that lead down just a little bit before the half here with 2 free throw shots. She makes the first of 2. Groth lines up for a second and makes that as well. Makes an even 30-point lead. Hacker takes away from her own backcourt shot attempt that's quite wide. And that'll be the end of the half. The score is the KMS Saints 54 and your Eden Valley Watkins Eagles 24. Been a bit of a rough half. Hopefully the Eagles can come out, get a spark going, and get something going a little bit. But we're going to step away from the half, leave the cameras on for you so you can watch a bit of the halftime show, but we're going to step away from announcing, and we'll be back with you here shortly for the second half of Eden Valley Watkins Eagles basketball. Welcome back to the second half of Eagles women's basketball, or as the announcer likes to call it here, bucket ball. As we get ready for hopefully a better half, the second half than we had in the first half would be great to see. There's a boys basketball game after this, but it's not against KMS, it's against ACGC. As I see a bunch of ACGC parents kind of filtering into the gym now. Game's supposed to start in 25 minutes. Lost ball there by KMS as the Eagles bring the ball up the floor quickly. Stummis with a quick two-point jumper, a little bit short. Ball is tussled over there by players from both teams. It's a jump ball that ends up with going to KMS after the jump. KMS puts that ball in bounds. To take that ball up the floor, Wagner's met it every step of the way by Stummis. Back to the point now for the Saints, who look to get something going. Really long layup attempt there by Silas, who is able to put that in from all the way up at the top of the block there. Keekly passes that ball out to the wing, across the other wing to Stummis, where that ball is mishandled by Stummis and picked off by KMS. Hacker drives the ball up the floor and misses a rebound, or misses her layup, rather, and it was rebounded by Stummis, and then the ball picked out of her pocket by Wagner, who then lays it in for two. Keekly with the layup attempt, misses, gets her own rebound, and is blocked on the second attempt, and then rebounded by KMS. Silas has the ball on the fast break, tries to lay it in, comes up a little bit off. Schultz quickly the other way, and is able to get around Hacker and lay it in. Wagner now brings the ball up the floor. Again guarded by Stummis. Hands off. Silas, three-point attempt by Wagner. That's short. Bounces back off the front of the rim and rebounded by Stummis. Stummis up to Schultz. Into the post to Keekly, who tries to lay it in, but has the ball lost. And it ends up in the hands of both Kramer and a player from KMS, and jump ball again. So now it is Eagles ball. Stummis passes it in from below the basket. And to Keekly in the corner, who takes a step three-pointer and drains that. Brings that score to 58-29. Wagner brings the ball up the floor. Ball being moved around by KMS. And it ends up in Silas's hand in the post, where Hearing is able to take the ball away. Schultz is driving for a layup and gets fouled by Mara Otto of KMS. And the game in the second half for your Eden Valley Watkins Eagles, we have Kramer, Schultz, Hearing, Keekly, and Stummis. Schultz makes the first of her two shots and the second. Bring that lead 58-31. We're having a call for blood on a KMS player, which looks like it's Wagner, who's got blood from somewhere on her jersey. So they aren't allowed to be on the floor with blood on their jersey. So she's getting touched up by KMS player, or by KMS coach. Wagner's able to stay in the game with that disinfectant being put on her jersey. KMS moving that ball around. Eagles doing their best to restrict that movement. Staying in his game, keeping a lot of pride on the long here. Ball is knocked away by Stummis and then picked up by Schultz, who drives down. Pass across the baseline from Schultz to Hearing. Hearing to Kramer, who passes it in to Keekly on the right side, who is able to lay it in, where she is fouled, and we will have another free throw from Keekly. Great pass play by the Eagles girls there. Good to see them putting up a fight and continuing to go here. 58-33. Keekly drains that. Cuts that lead down to 24 now. As long as my math is correct anyway. Wagner drives the ball up the floor, looking to get something going. Ball was rebounded by the Eagles and attempted to be passed up the floor quickly by Kramer, where she missed who she was passing it to, and the ball sailed out of bounds. KMS tried to drive the ball down, and it was knocked away by an Eagles player. It is now KMS called a timeout here, full timeout. KMS wanting to discuss what to do here in the game. Looks like they found the source of the bleeding, which is coming from Wagner's face. Apologize, that cough came up on me quickly there. We have the girls back in the game here. The timeout is over. It is going to be KMS ball on their own front court. Wagner looking to pass that ball in, gets it up to the point to Hacker. Kicks it off to Wagner. Eagles doing a good job of keeping pressure and stopping the Saints from being able to drive. Nice pass attempt from Hacker to Wagner, where Wagner misses a layup attempt, rebounded by KMS for another layup miss, then rebounded by the Eagles. Stummis has the ball down in the corner to Schultz. Across to Kramer, up to the top of the key to Keekly, who has the ball knocked away. Picked up by Schultz after a little scrum. Knocked away from her. And the ball is all over the place, going in and out of people there. And as Silas was attempting to pick it up, Schultz also went, and she bumps into Silas, and that'll now be KMS ball as it's called a foul on the floor. Fouls are 2 for KMS to 1 of the Eagles so far in this half. Wagner attempts to drive for a baseline layup where she is fouled by, it's either going to be Hearing or Keekly. And they're calling it on Keekly. I think that's her first foul of the game. Actually, I think that was on Hearing, her second foul. Makes the first free throw, misses the second. Hearing attempts to bring the ball up the floor, is met by Wagner. But Eden Valley moves it up quickly. It's to Schultz in the corner now. Schultz picks up her dribble, looking to pass it to Keekly, where Wagner attempts to get the ball, but hits Keekly in the process, and that is going to be a foul. Non-shooting foul for KMS. It'll be their third team foul. Stummis looks to pass the ball into Kramer to Keekly. Keekly takes a three-point shot that she makes. She's been really good on her long-distance shots today. I'm not sure if she's missed one when she's gotten the opportunity to take a long-distance shot. Stummis again keeping pressure on Wagner. Out to Silas for a three, who is way off on that three-point attempt. Herring attempting to drive the ball up the floor is met by Wagner, who knocks that ball away. And then as Wagner was driving down, Herring was looking to tip that ball away, which she did, but fouled Wagner pretty hard in the process. I think Wagner might have ran into another team player and looks to either have the wind knocked out of her or maybe hurt her knee a little bit, as we're kind of stopping here for a moment and letting her catch her breath and get up and see how she's doing. She looks a little tender and sore there, but looks like it's not a knee issue. Maybe just got a good thump to the leg or something possibly. She's going to come out for a minute and sit, catch her breath. But that is the third foul on Herring. That was on the floor, so that ball will now be an inbounds pass for KMS. Silas looking to pass it in. Doing her best to find someone. She gets it to the post. And now Silas gets the ball back, where she has the ball knocked away by Keekly. And now Keekly picks the ball up and moves up the floor, passes it up to Schultz. Schultz drives through the lane on the layup attempt, where she is fouled quite quickly by Finstrom on that layup attempt. I believe that is the third foul for Finstrom. It'll be the fourth team foul. Schultz to shoot two. A little short on the first attempt. And they'll pull Finstrom out and put Otto back in. Schultz lines up for her second free throw attempt here. That one falls in. Now 59-38 as the girls have knocked off nearly 10 points off of that lead. Hacker now bringing the ball up the floor. She's met quickly by Stemmis and loses control of that ball. Ends up in the hands of Schultz, who brings the ball up the floor, where Hacker then picks her pocket. This has been an aggressive game that way. A lot of balls knocked away on dribbles and passing attempts here. Hacker was able to drive the floor and bring it all the way down. Now goes the other way. Ends up as a three-point shot attempt for Herring, who shoots quite long and wide and ends up in the hands of a KMS player. KMS brings the ball up the floor. Looks like Hacker on the driving attempt put the ball off of the foot of one of the Eden Valley girls. Inbounds attempt for KMS. KMS moving the ball around. Silas looks to have lost control there for a moment, and she does. Ball is picked up by Stemmis. She brings the ball up the floor. Up to Herring on the wing, to Stemmis at the point. And Keekly on the top of the foul line. To Schultz. To Keekly. Down to Kramer in the post, who passes it out to Schultz, who takes a three-point attempt that's a little bit long. Rebounded by Silas in the corner. Will then bring the ball up the floor. Looks to drive past Herring, where she's met by a solid Kramer, who keeps her body solid and her hands up high, and makes that a tough layup attempt for her. Stummis attempts to try to go around Otto. And misses on that layup attempt. It's rebounded by Otto, who is then fouled by Stummis. That'll be her third foul. Hacker loses the ball, but is able to pick it up, passes it to Otto, who loses a handle, but then as Stummis attempted to get a hold of that ball, she knocks it out of bounds. Silas will pass the ball in for the Saints. Way up top for Finstrom. Hacker's on the ground, got knocked over on a block. We have a reaching foul here by the Eagles, and that is on Schultz. I believe that's her third foul, team fifth of this half. KMS down low again. 20 seconds left on the shot clock. Hacker has the ball. She drives down through the lane where she is fouled by Kramer, who stepped over and put her body in the way of that driving attempt. Looks like Wagner will come back into the game here along with Finstrom. Hacker to shoot two here. Hacker misses the first. Doesn't look like KMS is ready to get into their bench yet. So they have pretty much all starters on the floor, except for maybe one. Keekley at the top of the key. Looks to pass it around. Ends up being bobbled between Hacker and Stummis and called out of bounds on Stummis. So it's now KMS ball as the Eagles coach calls for a timeout. Been a physical game here, obviously, between these two teams. The score's not really close. It's 62-38, which is a 24-point lead for the Saints. But the Eagles are doing their best to stay in and stay competitive and keep scrapping, which is really good to see. Keep that team pride there. See what Tom Jansen can come up with here. All right, KMS has the ball. They're moving it around. Tended to be dropped into the post, but is knocked away by Kramer, who plays much taller than her 5'4" frame would suggest. Stummis up to the high point. To the wing to Schultz. Back to Stummis. Across to Keekley. As the Eagles look to get something going. 17 on the shot clock. Dropped into Hearing in the post, who kicks it out to Schultz. Back to Stummis, who then drives for a quick jump shot that is missed. Knocked her up between KMS and the Eagles. Ends up in two players' hands again, that we've seen a lot of times in this game, and it's called jump ball, now KMS ball. KMS brings the ball up the floor. Wagner's back in the game after that hard fall after the foul. Moves the ball around. Down low in the Hacker, where as she's attempting to catch the pass, she's fouled. That's on Hearing. That might be her fourth. I'm not keeping track of the fouls here, so that's just going off of recollection. Hacker makes the first. It's bonus now as the Eagles have 17 fouls, so she makes the first, so therefore earns the second shot attempt. She squares up, shoots that, and drains it. Schultz passes it into Stummis, where she's met in the backcourt, of course, by Wagner. Stummis got a little distracted